Hi, it's Steph, and we're at the Home Depot, and they've got a bunch of new inventory as we head into the Memorial Day weekend and the end of May. So let's go ahead and look around and see what they've got. Starting with some Limelight standards. These are Limelight hydrangeas in a tree form. Now, these sometimes do show up at box stores, but they're very rare. And so when you find them, grab them. These are absolutely beautiful hydrangeas. The Limelight is a panicle type hydrangea that can take a lot of sun. Two planted flanking either side of my driveway that I believe I purchased at Lowe's a couple of years ago, and they've done really well. This is the Limelight Panicle Hydrangea by Proven Winners. It is hardy in USDA zones 3 through 9 or down to negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit. They start off a really pretty lime green, then they age to a creamy white before ending in a beautiful shade of pink as we get towards end of summer and the nights start to get cooler. It likes sun and part shade, and these panicles are huge and absolutely beautiful. So let's see how much these are. These are number 7 containers for $89.98. They also have the Proven Winners Incredible hydrangeas. These are the smooth hydrangeas, and the variety that they have is blush. Typically you see them in the white, but I've never seen them in blush at my store, or at least not that I recall. And so the Incredible Blush Smooth Hydrangea by Proven Winners is a sun or part shade shrub, hardy in zones 3 through 8 or down to negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and they get to be 4 to 5 feet tall and wide. And let's see how much they are. So these are number 3 containers for $34.98. This variety of hydrangea is very similar to the old-fashioned Annabelle. They have these really large, big bloom heads. Really pretty. They also have a lot of the Macrophylla type endless summer hydrangeas in stock as well. And this variety is called Bloomstruck. And it says that it likes morning sun, partial shade. It gets to be 3 to 4 feet in height and 4 to 5 feet in width, hardy down to negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit, and the color will be depending on whether your soil is acidic or alkaline. If you have more acidic soil, it'll be more on the purple side with a hint of blue, and then if you have more alkaline, it's going to be more pink purple. And these are $34.98 for a number 3 container. Check out these sweet little Shasta daisies. Now, these are a different variety of Shasta daisy. They're very ruffly with more of a yellow, creamy, buttery yellow center. Actually, from far away, I thought this was the Kilimanjaro white marigold that I grew last year. Now, the tag just says Shasta daisy, but if we look at the side of the container, it says Leucanthemum luna, so that must be the variety. And these are $15.98 for a 3-quart container. And check out these beauties, some alpine aster and this really beautiful lavender pink color with this cherry yellow center. The alpine aster is a full sun perennial. This one is called Beauty Mix, and it gets to be 6 to 12 inches in height and needs 15-inch spacing. Water when dry, hardy to negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit, and blooms late spring through midsummer. And this 2.55 quart container is $8.98. And something I've never seen before, Lantana in standard form. Lantana is a pollinator magnet. The hummingbirds absolutely love this stuff. I actually just bought some for a summer container. They're beautiful. But these standard forms for an annual is going to be a bit steep at $79.98. And here's a beautiful ground cover, dead nettle, also known as lamium. I have this variety in my garden. It's got the most beautiful silvery color with the green outer edge. And it gets these little purple flowers. This variety is called Purple Dragon, and it gets to be 4 to 8 inches in height and needs 10 to 14 inches spacing. water when dry, hardy to negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and blooms late spring through summer. This one has larger foliage. It's in general just a bigger dead nettle than some of the other varieties. Really beautiful. And these quart perennials are $5.98 here at my Zone 6 store. And this beautiful lamium likes part sun, and it will bloom better if it does get some sun, but really beautiful. And here is some beautiful traditional Shasta daisy in the white with the yellow center. And this Shasta daisy is the Western Star Leo variety. It is a full sun perennial. It gets to be 12 to 36 inches in height and needs 12 to 24 inch spacing. Water when dry, hardy to negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit, and blooms early summer to fall. $8.98. And some Gara. I actually had a viewer ask me if I had seen some Gara yet, and I hadn't, but now in end of May, it is starting to show up. This is also a great pollinator friendly plant, and it has such a beautiful graceful sway in the wind. Really pretty. I actually love the way that this variety here has some dark foliage with these rosy pink flowers. Really pretty. So this variety here is the Gara Ballerina Rose. It is a full sun perennial. It gets to be 36 to 48 inches in height, needs 24 to 36 inch spacing, water when dry, hardy to negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit, and it blooms early summer through mid-fall. $8.98. Gara, I do know, likes to be on the drier side, so make sure that when you do plant it, that you plant it in a spot that is well draining and full sun. Here's another really beautiful variety of Gara. This one has a lighter pink, but also some dark foliage. Look how pretty that is. And this one here is the Gara Graceful Light Pink. It is a full sun perennial. It gets to be 36 to 48 inches in height, needs 24 to 36 inch spacing, water when dry, hardy to negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit, and blooms early summer to mid-fall. $8.98. Really pretty. And right beside it is some really pretty penstemon. Look how pretty these tubular shaped flowers are. Perfect for hummingbirds to get their little beak in there. So pretty. And these are also a full sun perennial. Penstemon is also known as beard tongue. And these are full sun, 20 to 24 inches in height. They need 18 to 20 inch spacing, water when dry, hardy to negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit, and blooms early summer through fall. If you watch my channel, I recently did a video on the Chelsea chop, and penstemon is a great candidate for Chelsea chop, which is the method of cutting your perennials down by a third in late spring so that you can push your blooms off to later, and it is supposed to encourage a bushier plant with more blooms. And these beauties smell amazing. Another pollinator plant. We are on a roll with the pollinator friendly plants here. And this is Anise hyssop, Agastache or Agastache. How do you say it where you're at? And while this variety of hyssop is called Sunrise Red, it looks pink to me. It looks like a really pretty salmon pink. And this variety is also beautiful. A bit of a apricot orange color with the stamens, or these little pieces that hold the petals that are in this mauve-y purple. Really beautiful contrast. And this variety here is called Kudo's Mandarin Anise hyssop, and it is a full sun perennial. It gets to be 24 to 36 inches in height. It needs 18 inch spacing, water when dry, hardy to negative 10 degrees Fahrenheit, and blooms late spring through mid-fall. These smell incredible. I love fragrant flowers. It smells like licorice. If you like licorice, you'll enjoy the scent of Anise hyssop. And something I've never seen before, purple candy tuft. I thought candy tuft only came in white, and here we are. Beautiful. And so this variety here is called Mermaid Lavender. I think I like it even more now. Mermaid Lavender, how cute is that? So this is $10.98 for this Vigoro container. It is a full sun perennial. It has a spreading habit. It gets to be 6 to 12 inches in height, needs 12 to 15 inch spacing, water when dry, and hardy to negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit. And it blooms early to late spring. So this is a great addition if you're looking for some more spring blooms in your garden that aren't a bulb. This is a perennial that you can look to add. Candy tuft. Comes in white and lavender. Look how pretty that looks with these apricot colored hyssop blooms. They will bloom at different times, so even if you paired these in your garden, they wouldn't complement each other this way, but you could plant something else that blooms in spring that is in that pretty apricot color to complement this candy tuft. And a beautiful hardy geranium. It has these really large dark green leaves with almost like a maroon or brown on the outer edge, and it's probably where it gets its name, Boom Chocolata. And this is a full sun, part sun perennial, geranium pretense. And it gets to be 24 to 36 inches in size. It needs 28-inch spacing. It is hardy in zones 4 through 8 or down to negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit. And it blooms early to late summer. And this is by Proven Winner, so let's check out the price on these. $12.98. The geraniums are really pretty. They have these purple colored blooms. And even the foliage provides a lot of interest. And let's check out some grasses. Now this one here is a purple fountain grass, and when I was newer to gardening, I had purchased a couple of these, and I was so disappointed when it didn't come back for me the following year. While these are beautiful in the landscape, they are an annual grass, so they will not come back if you are in a zone where this is considered annual, and we'll take a look at that a little bit closer. But this is purple fountain grass, Pennisetum rubrum, and it is deer resistant, drought tolerant, and it has a clumping habit. These are by Vigoro, and they are $10.98. It is full sun, if I didn't mention it yet, and it gets to be 24 to 36 inches in height. It needs 18-inch spacing, and it says to water, check new transplants, and you want to water it when it feels a bit dry. Now, it doesn't say what zones these are hardy in. My guess is that if you are in a warm zone, like perhaps a 9, 10, 11, it could be that this is perennial for you, or it could be too hot and these might crisp up. But here in our zone 6, they are certainly an annual, but a beautiful one for sure. And they transition beautifully into fall. So if you wanted to plant this as a centerpiece in one of your containers, then in the fall you could just pop out whatever trailing annuals you have and pop in something more fall-like maybe a couple of small mums. So beautiful grass. And some more grasses, and most of the grasses here in this table are the Vigoro brand at $10.98. Now this one here, this variegated one, almost looks like a carex, doesn't it? But a carex is much smaller, and these get pretty tall. Now with most grasses, they are full sun. There are a couple of varieties like the Japanese forest grass, Hakonakloa, for example. Those like shade, but in most cases, these taller growing grasses need sun in order for them to grow best and not be floppy. So this one here is called Maiden Grass Miscanthus variegatus. It is deer resistant. It looks great in mixed gardens. It has a clumping habit. And it blooms early to late fall. Now blooms on grasses are those plumes or those panicles that they send out in late summer, early fall. They get to be 4 to 6 feet in height, and they need 36-inch spacing, hardy to negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Now unlike the purple fountain grass, which the container says perennial, but the tag says annual. That is an annual grass in my zone 6. This variety here, the Maiden Grass variegatus, as well as this porcupine grass, is both labeled as perennial. Now this variety here, where this one is variegated, this one almost has like a horizontal striping going on. Check that out. And this variety is called porcupine grass, Miscanthus strictus. Deer resistant, mixed gardens, clumping habit, and it blooms early to late fall. It gets to be 4 to 5 feet in height, and it needs 48-inch spacing, hardy to negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Here's another beautiful variegated grass. Look at the way this grass just moves in the wind. This is why I love them so much in the landscape. They're just so graceful. This variety here is the feather reed grass, Calamagratis, and it is deer resistant, has winter interest, and the winter interest is when it sends up these plumes. It almost looks like wheat, really, so it would provide a little bit of interest if you leave those up over the winter. It has a clumping habit, so $16.98 for this 1.5, so 1.5 gallon. It blooms early to late summer. It gets to be 4 to 6 feet in height. It needs 24 to 48 inch spacing, and it is hardy to negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit. It says it grows well at water's edge or in a bog garden. So that is actually really interesting. If you have a wet area in your garden, or maybe you have a pond, this would look really beautiful and looks like it would do well in a growing situation like that. Check out this pretty little dainty flower. Looks like a little spider, doesn't it? Even the underside of the bloom is really pretty because it looks like a little pineapple. And the foliage has a little bit of a fuzzy texture, which is almost similar to, say, something like a lamb's ear. Really pretty. And that little friend is in there having some lunch. This is a full sun perennial called Mountain Bluette, Centuria montana, and the variety is Amethyst Dream. It gets to be 20 inches in height. It needs 28 inch spacing, water when dry, and it is hardy to negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Blooms early summer. Look at this golden beauty. I recently went and visited a friend's garden, and she had this really interesting spring bloom, and she told me it was called globe flower. And here it is at the Home Depot. So sometimes you just don't know what kind of unexpected little treasure you'll find. It's really, really pretty. And it has some height to it, but look at it backed by all of this beautiful nepeta and some of this dianthus. Stunning, with some purple and some pink. Really pretty. So this is a globe flower called Morning Sun. It is a part sun perennial. It is, this container is $8.98. It gets to be 24 to 36 inches in height. It needs 20 to 24 inch spacing, water when dry, hardy to negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and it blooms late spring through midsummer. We're outside where they have these shrubs and evergreens, and check out this beauty right here. The color just pops so beautifully against all of this green. Let's check it out. Now this is called a PC Baby Blue Spruce. I actually bought what I thought was a baby blue spruce about 13 years ago. About 10 years ago. And it is ginormous. So proceed with caution. There is no other information provided on this shrub. I don't see a tag or anything, but it's absolutely stunning. And it is so cute at this stage that it is very tempting, but give it some space. It will likely get very large. My goodness, am I in love with this little tree. And this is all new growth, so it's incredibly soft. Stunning. Here is an example of another grass that I absolutely love that does amazing in a wet spot. This looks like Hakonakloa or Japanese forest grass, but it is more affordable and super tough. In fact, in my zone 6, it is evergreen. It looks most vibrant in the spring and in the fall because it likes cooler temperatures, and it gets a bit paler over the winter, but it stays. The foliage stays, it doesn't die back, and this is called Sweet Flag Ogon. It is a chorus, which is a type of grass. It is perennial. It likes part sun, although I will tell you, I have a very wet bed that I have mine planted in, and it handles the sun like a champ in that area, and probably because the soil is very moist. So this Acorus here is $12.98. And let's see if I can get you a little more information. It is mounded. It is very compact. It gets a bit wider than it does tall. So it gets 6 to 12 inches in height. It says that you need 6 to 8 inches, which in my experience, you need double that. Mine gets pretty wide. It's actually done really well in my garden. So if you're looking for a really pretty yellow grass that likes a bit of a wetter soil, this is a really great option. Sweet Flag Ogon. And a Japanese maple. If you watched my last video, I just posted about a new garden area that we're working on where I have a collection of Japanese maples. This one here is a part sun Japanese maple called Ever Red. I don't have this one and I don't have experience with it, but it looks like it has a cascading or a waterfall type shape. It says that it gets to be 12 to 15 inches in height. Now, Japanese maples are extremely easy to size control because they take well to pruning. They are hardy to -10 degrees, this particular one, -10 degrees Fahrenheit, water at least once a week until established. And while it's called Ever Red, right here in this spot, it's looking a bit green. It could be that this is its fall color, or also because it's part sun, maybe it's getting too much sun in this open yard here. And so it's looking a bit more green. But as always, when you're looking to buy a tree, you could always just do a Google search, Japanese maple Ever Red, and see what kind of images you come up with on Google. So let's check out the price on this one. So this is a number 3 container for $69.98. Here's a great option to add some beautiful red to your garden. This is a royal purple smoke bush. Now these can be either a really large shrub or pruned into a small tree. They have these really beautiful dark burgundy leaves, and then they get these flowers or these blooms that are they just look like cotton candy, really, these big puffs of color. Really pretty. And they bloom in, I believe, summer. I'm not sure if it's early or mid, but let's check out the tag and see what it tells us. So you see here, those are those puffs I was talking about. And so it says that this is a full sun shrub, the smoke tree royal purple. It is deer resistant, drought tolerant. It gets to be 8 to 10 feet in height, which is why I said you could almost like prune it by cleaning up the bottom and exposing some of the trunk so that it could be a small multi-trunk tree. And it blooms early to late summer. So yeah, it blooms in summer at some point, and it needs 10 to 12 foot spacing. It is hardy to -20 degrees Fahrenheit. And this here is a number 3 container for $29.98. I planted one of these in my garden 2 years ago, and it's doing really well so far this spring. Hopefully I will get blooms this year. They still have lots of options in stock for live fencing or privacy hedges, lots of arborvitae. You just want to be cautious if you do have lots of deer in your garden. You don't want to pick an arborvitae that deer would be likely to eat, because then you'll end up with misshapen trees. This variety here is really beautiful. It does not have a deer resistant image on it, so you'd have to proceed with caution, maybe do a little bit of a Google search to see what others say. And this is a golden emerald arborvitae jantar. It gets to be 10 to 15 inches or 10 to 15 feet in height. It is evergreen, and it needs 4 to 5 foot spacing, hardy down to -30 degrees Fahrenheit. And these here are number 3 containers for $34.98. Here's a really cool arborvitae. This one's called DeGroote's Spire. And what's cool about this one is that it is one tree, but it ends up with a couple of different leaders. So the top almost looks sometimes like there's a group of trees planted, when in reality it's one. So it gives a really cool visual effect. So this one here says that it gets to be about 8 feet tall. It is evergreen. It's full sun. And it gets to be 24 to 36 inches in width, hardy down to -40 degrees Fahrenheit. And arborvitae do like moist soil. So if you're planting them new this year, you want to make sure that you give them a good amount of water until they are established, and then they can handle a little less. But in general, arborvitae do like water. And the DeGroote's Spire is a number 3 container for $29.98. Here is another one that is very popular. This arborvitae is very, very popular. The emerald green arborvitae smaragd. The emerald green is not deer resistant in my experience. The only one that I have found to be deer resistant is the green giant. So while very beautiful, it has a little bit more dense texture, where the green giant has a little bit more of a loose texture. You want to be cautious if you're going to invest in them and put in a whole hedge, put in the work of planting them. You want to make sure, if you do deal with deer, that you're planting a variety that is more resistant. While roses and I have a rocky relationship, this one is stunning. Look at this plume. It stopped me in my tracks. Such healthy foliage on this shrub. And the variety is called Julie Andrews. It's a hybrid tea rose by My Bouquet. And roses like a lot of sun, and once they're established, they can do with very little water. I'm trying to see how much this one is here. It says rose maintenance, mulch with organic matter to conserve water, improve soil, and reduce weeds. They're a bit fussy for me. And this is a number 3 container for $29.98. I gave it the sniff test, and it smells like a rose. And here's what I'm going home with today. I didn't come here with anything specific in mind. I figured I would walk around and I would let the garden center tell me what I needed to bring home. And it sure did. This here is a Korean spice viburnum. And I've been after one of these because they have the most amazing fragrance. And I'm all about the scented plants this year. And look at how big these leaves are. It should have some fall color. And the reason why I'm going to pick this up is because I can actually see some blooms left on the shrub, which confirms for me that it is the variety the tag says, and I already gave it the sniff test. Amazing. So here's the information on this one. It is a Korean spice viburnum. It is a part sun shrub. It gets these beautiful baseball-sized clusters of white blooms. Stunning. It gets to be 4 to 5 feet in height, probably a little bit bigger because these can be really large shrubs or pruned into a small tree. It says it is deer resistant, which will be great in my garden. It blooms early to late spring, needs 6-foot spacing, and it is hardy to negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit. And this container here is a number 3 for $29.98. And here's what I'm heading home with today, the Korean spice viburnum. And I'm going to try out one of these globe flower perennials. I hope that you've enjoyed today's tour. As always, thank you for spending your time with me, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please hit the thumbs up button, and please consider subscribing so you don't miss any of my future videos. And we'll see you soon.